see, still unconvinced.
I've done many clips since the time I started this YouTube channel. Everything concerning from when I was a theistic Satanist to the likes of Zionism and Jewishness today. The reason I'm doing this clip is because of recent events or just things that I have noticed. So I will go through what seems to be a campaign within the EU and by journalists within it to demonise the likes of Hungary and Poland. I believe we are seeing an attempt for a one world government coming into full swing. You've got the likes of the EU and Merkel, who have brought in at least 2 million migrants. I think it's due to what has been happening in Sydney, Australia, in relation to the New South Wales government, which has really caught my interest, and I can see what has happened in Europe taking place in Australia. In recent times, less than 10 years ago, we had the likes of Angela Merkel, Nicolas Sarkozy and David Cameron have the opinion and actually declared that multiculturalism has failed. Now, most people simply write this off as politics catering to the majority of a population, which is their constituents. And people saw it as a recognition that liberalism has caused these problems. But we cannot just say that it's all to do with politicians and bureaucrats. There is a bigger issue which some people do address, but most acceptable right-wing or nationalist type commentators on the media simply will not. And let's deal with this. Out of the three of Angela Merkel, Nicolas Sarkozy and David Cameron, we can look at Angela Merkel, who has a Jewish bloodline on both sides of the family, but especially her maternal side, which is where Jewishness comes from. They are Polish Jews, and Angela Merkel actually dyes her hair. That is not her natural hair colour. So from there we go to Nicolas Sarkozy, who comes from a Greek Jewish maternal bloodline, and then we have David Cameron, who reportedly comes from a bloodline of Polish Jews, but I don't have the specifics on that, so I won't go any further with it. And it's irrelevant because Sarkozy and Cameron are no longer in office. But the lax laws and enforcement upon asylum seekers actually goes back much further. Enter Barbara Roche, Minister of State for Asylum and Immigration in Great Britain from 1999 till 2001. We can see, as a result of her inaction, the blatant violation of any immigration law. Plus, you've got to ask, what was her motivation? Two things. Number one, she's Jewish, Number 2, she is also a lesbian. And we can add in number 3, she is pretty much a Marxist. But the thing that motivated me the most to do this clip was this interview between Emily Maitlis of the BBC and the Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjarto. Now, if you have not seen this interview, you should. I recommend it. She basically starts going off at him because Hungary will not allow asylum seekers just to show up. And you have to ask, what again is her motivation for going off the handle like this? And it's not only her. There is also another British journalist called Kathy Newman, who started a similar argument with a Polish politician. And the only thing these two have in common, besides being part of the British media industry and being politically correct, is the fact that they are Jews. Now, Kathy Newman denied being a Jew. But in 2012, and I'm glad someone put this on an archive, in one of her tweets from a Twitter account, she confirmed that yes, she is of a Jewish background. Although I have just referred to 2 journalists who are engaging in what is seemingly a politically motivated media campaign, it goes beyond that. Now there's a alleged comedy called The Big Bang, or The Big Bang Theory, and there is a so-called actor who also expounds pro-refugee, pro-immigration rants, ideology, and he too is Jewish. So you got to ask once again, what is the motivation in doing this? Why is it for the small percentage of any given population at any given time, there is always an overwhelming amount of Jews involved in what is seemingly a setup for one world government? And I believe this is a fair and valid question. But we've already dealt with the cultural aspect in this clip. We have to deal with the spiritual aspect. Now, I've made many clips regarding the likes of Zionism and Jewishness and their impact on the world today, their impact in moulding the world that we now know. And indeed, if you really want to learn things, there is a guy called Brother Nathaniel who used to be a Jew and comes out quite frankly about the things he knows that he grew up in and how Jewishness is impacting the world. But that's for another clip regarding spirituality. So, for the time being, I'm just going to depart and leave you these pictures of Emily Maitlis, who likes to portray herself as a sweet British gal. And you can decide for yourself.